Atropus, the world born dead. Atropus wants the universe to stop pretending it's alive. Some monsters conquer kingdoms, others devour worlds. Atropus rejects the idea that life should have existed at all. A dead god, a corpse moon, a cosmic mistake older than history. Across planes, civilizations have looked into the night sky, watched as a second moon appeared, and realized that their world had already been sentenced to death. What appeared was Atropus, the world born dead. No one truly knows where Atropus came from. Some legends claim it was the final god Ao tried to create, a divine child that never drew its first breath. Other stories say Atropus is not a god at all, but the unwanted remnants left behind when the universe was created, a discarded existence. Another tale claims it once belonged to an older age, before the gods brought order to the universe. In that version, Atropus was not born dead, it was beaten dead, broken in a war so ancient that even the gods remember only fragments of the story. Whatever the truth, every story agrees on one thing. The gods never dealt with Atropus, never destroyed it. They wounded it and left it drifting through the darkness of space. And that's a part of what makes Atropus so unsettling. Most villains have a history, a betrayal, or some tragedy that explains what they became. Atropus doesn't. It didn't begin pure and fall into corruption. It was wrong from the beginning. Less a person and more like a flaw that was written into creation. You can't redeem it or shame it or even ask why it hates the living, because Atropus doesn't need a reason. The corpse moon. Imagine looking into the night and seeing a new star. At first, it's easy to dismiss. Astronomers debate it, priests offer explanations, and most people continue on with their lives. Then it grows larger. The star becomes a black moon, and then the moon begins to resemble something else. Maybe it's a planet, but as it gets closer, it starts to look like a head. Atropus is a corpse nearly 700 miles across, drifting silently through space. From a distance, it could be a planet, but up close, the mountains look like scars, and its craters form empty eyes. Dark, thick, negative energy saturates everything. The air poisons the living, healing magic stops working, and the dead begin to rise. Of course, you can hardly fight an entire moon, so instead, Atropus projects an aspect, an avatar through which it reaches the world below it. And that's probably the closest you can get to facing Atropus. The restless dead. Atropus doesn't invade. It slowly drifts, which is somehow worse. It crosses the empty space between worlds until it senses life. Then it begins to move, not quickly, but deliberately. See, Atropus gives civilizations time to notice what's happening. It gives them enough time to argue and deny the evidence. First, the changes are small. People even blame necromancers because necromancers are understandable. Then the signs continue. Healing magic weakens. In old battlefields, the dead rise. The gods begin to feel strangely distant. History begins climbing out of the ground. After a while, every death creates another enemy. Atropus doesn't bring an army because the world builds one for it. That's the real horror of its approach. The living are forced to fight everything they've ever buried. It's a philosophy of extinction. Atropus doesn't want conquest. It doesn't want a kingdom or throne. It wants a correction. Life was a mistake. Existence, an accident. In Atropus, players don't face a tyrant. What they face is an astronomical verdict. The falling sky. The world of Glyth offers a glimpse into what happens when Atropus comes near. Glyth was already a brutal place, dominated by mind flayers and shaped by cruelty. Its rulers created death on a scale large enough to draw attention. Atropus was attracted and began closing in. And that's the thing, so many different catastrophes can call it. A war can call it, a genocide can call it, a magical catastrophe could even call it. A world doesn't even need to know that Atropus exists to invite it closer. When the dead moon approached Glyth, it brought extinction. Seas rotted, ash drifted through the sky, and a black tar-like substance rained from clouds. And then Atropus just slowly drifted away, leaving behind a haunted, empty husk of a world. Atropus takes its time, it floats, drifts, and moves slow. If you notice Atropus moving in on your planet, eventually the skies might change. It would start as a dark star, then maybe become a second moon. The second moon becomes a shape, and then the shape begins to look back at you. At that point, the apocalypse is no longer coming. It has already arrived. Atropus at the table. Atropus works best when the players don't understand the threat. The players should encounter the symptoms before they learn the cause. You can make it easy: a haunted mine, a plague village, or an old battlefield where the dead resurface. Whatever it is, at lower levels, the party believes a necromancer is responsible. Let the players follow the clues, reach the ritual chamber, and find it empty. There's no grand mastermind, but there is evidence that something far larger is moving closer. As the campaign progresses, the pattern spreads. Different towns, different cults, and different undead. But they all share something, some common attachment with the Black Moon. Then comes the revelation. This isn't a plague, it's an orbit. The dead are rising because something is approaching. From then on, the campaign becomes a ticking clock. The final act shouldn't feel like a dungeon crawl, but a desperate race against time before Atropus reaches the player's world. It shouldn't feel like a final boss waiting in a room. It should feel like a deadline hanging over the entire world of the party. The final silence. So what is Atropus? A dead god? A failed god? The remains of creation, or a corpse just drifting in dark space? Maybe it's all of them. Either way, it should never be fully understood. What really matters is what this moon or dead planet does. It approaches living worlds, weakens life, strengthens death, and turns every corpse into an enemy. It hangs in the sky like a second moon and teaches the living that the universe always had a dead twin. See, a world that's destroyed by Atropus doesn't become silent immediately. It grows louder at first, filled with graves opening, armies rising, and the last living voices calling to the gods, who will no longer answer. Then the silence finally comes. The silence that Atropus carried all along. It answers with silence, and the sky gets darker. And that's Atropus, the world born dead. The failed god, the corpse moon, and the stillborn thing drifting through space. The real question isn't whether it can be stopped. It's whether enough of the player's world will remain to even recognize itself.